Hello, welcome to the Q for January 1940. Germany turn one. The end of the last turn, we saw U.S. leapfrog all the way up to match Japan and closing in on Germany on that income tracker. That is certainly disturbing this early in the game. We do have some units to add for the neutrals, which is a militia in Ireland. So we'll go ahead and put that chip under there. And all these other countries that are under influence of Germany or wherever, they don't get their reinforcements here. We've got in Finland, in Karjala, an infantry. So we're gonna take that chip, put it under there, and that's it for that. And then Switzerland gets a big boost. They get a fort and a mountain infantry. So that is disturbing, and that will anger the Germans into attacking them because I feel like I should. So I think they have 1, 2, 3. Now they have 4 infantry, or mountain infantry. Now the fort faces Germany, so we're going to go around that and ignore the fort altogether. So that's the good news. And then we'll be back for this in January 41. Whoever's still available, we'll get that. Some other things, let me get rid of this piece of paper. Not getting rid of it, just removing it. We've got a couple things to clear up. On the income last time, I counted Vichy as 6, and it was actually 7. So that's why we got an extra $1 there. So we'll get that out of the way. The French ships were supposed to go immediately to Sea Zone 49. So I've got a destroyer and a cruiser out of the Red Sea there, and then a destroyer out of 81. So technically they should have been in Sea Zone 49, and it would look like that. The other news, I get to replace a self-propelled artillery, but I also lose a vehicle. The self-propelled artillery, it was pointed out that it does get first strike on blitzing. So when I blitzed into Picardy, my artillery did get a hit, but then when I rolled the one French infantry that was there, they got a hit, so I took that off. So I get to put it back on. That's the good news. The bad news is that when I attacked Warsaw up here, I had forgotten that infantry get a target select on defense. So one of the Polish infantry had rolled a 1. Therefore, I lose my elite panzer. And that is not worth the trade-off. I'd rather have that than that self-propelled artillery. So anyway, those are the corrections from my turn. So get this out of the way. I've got some influence rolls that are out of the ordinary. I'll have one for Iran and one for Mongolia that we'll do at the end of the turn there. So here is my buy for the $58. And sitting down to make that a little more stable. So for $5, we're going to advance the German battleship here to stage 2 on the production chart. And another $5 for a sub. We've got $10 for 3 militia and 1 anti-aircraft gun, $9 for 3 infantry, 2 fighters for 20, and a strategic bomber for 12. We also get a free infantry for the Spanish Civil War, and then this is our final free sub from the Canadian at War expansion set. All right, so rolling. Let's look at what we're going to do here. I pulled out, I think this is different from last time. I can't remember, it was 5 or 6 days ago. Advanced mech, wartime income, long-range aircraft, radar, and then the advanced submarines. 4 of those are at 7, so I will go ahead and roll those, and then we'll roll that 8. So there is the dice tray. Let me get the dice. I don't have the dice in the colors I need. Here we go. All right, I guess I did have them in there. All right, so these all need to be 7s. And we got an 8, 2, 1, 4. So success on the advanced mech, and then advanced sub is an 8, and that fails. So I got 1. This is kind of the theme here. I either get all good rolls or all bad rolls, and getting 1 is okay, but I'd sure rather have it more even. So let's advance the advanced mechanized up to stage, move the whole board, stage 3 there. And there's what the text look like so far for the Axis. All right, so we are done with that. Let's get on to some combat. And over here in the Pacific, we've got 2 attacks. We're gonna come over here from C-Zone 127, which you can't see. C-Zone 127, 1, 2, 3. And we're gonna make our attack on that convoy line here for the Anzac there. I was trying to think, I was trying to get here to this middle section, but I had to take a detour and kill a transport last turn. This one, we're just gonna slide over 1 here into C-Zone 85 and take some money off the FEC, hopefully. Over here, escorts all up and down the coast, so we're going to take our chances and stay where we're at and hit this C-Zone here. We're going to hit this C-Zone here. We'll probably do this one first to see if we take all that money, and then we'll start here from the south and work our way up the convoy lines and see how far we get on the income. So we'll roll those. I guess we can roll those now and get those out of the way and then do the other combats on the other side of the board. So let's come over here. I will put the dice tray here. And it's kind of and does it matter if it's at an angle? It might. So here in C-Zone 124, we can hit the Anzac for up to $2. And then once again, the red dice, you know, with the British flag there, that will signify their dice. So they got a 1 because the symbol is a 1, and 6. So I wish I'd have had that on a different roll. So let me grab my little tray of goodies here. So we maxed that line out at 2, wasted a perfectly good roll. Anyway, all right, so the next roll here for possible $3. Be easier if you saw the dice. And that is a miss, so we got nothing there. All right, moving on. We're gonna start north here, like I said. We put the dice tray here in the middle. This convoy line has a total of 6 available. Now with that escort destroyer, they'll get to take a shot, I guess, at each one of those subs. So the first sub, well, it doesn't matter, it's a +3, so that's even, so they get nothing. Let me roll a dice, and a destroyer is at 4, and that's a 5, so they missed. So the second sub rolls, and it is a 3 + 3 is 6. Okay, they're not losing much money this turn. And then the convoy defense of a 7, so let's move down here to the next. So since we didn't gain anything there, we'll go on that convoy line of 3, and if we get more, we'll work our way up, like I said. So the first sub here in C-Zone 79. All right, so we get 3 there because we get 2 for the sub and 1 for the wolf pack. So we got 3. This line is now maxed. So now we're working on this second convoy line. I got to roll that escort destroyer 11. All right, so nothing there. All right, last sub on the convoying. And so that's 3 to 5, so that's 2. So we're going to take 2 off this convoy line here that comes out of the med. So Britain will lose a total of $5, and Anzac will lose 2. So that is it for the convoying part. Put those dice back down. And now we'll move around to do the combo, or the combat on the land, which we have 2 attacks. I don't know if I need my tray up there or not. So we'll walk around, take a peek at Japan. They just conquered all that. That's what gave the U.S. all those dollars. So Japan went up to 39, but so did the US. So when you make that move, you kind of hope for a low roll from US and get that out of the way. All right, so we've got, let's go with our first attack here. The Swiss have angered the Germans. So on the Heart Task Force marker, we're going to pull this Romanian fighter. Goes 1, 2, 3. So it'll have 2 left because it's at a air base. We're going to pull out our mountain troops. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 of those at 5. So what we have coming in land-wise is going to be 5 cavalry. And I guess I should show the card. Then we're going to have these 3 self-propelled artillery. I'll just probably chip that out later. So we've got 1 plane in there now. So we're going to pull from Western Germany this bomber at a movement of 2. So it will have 4 left because it comes from an air base. And we have, I think, well, why am I drawing a blank? I wanted to get some planes in there. So the fighter goes 1, 2, and it will have 3 left because it has the bonus of that air base. And I think I've got the fighters figured out. The strategic bomber is going to do a carpet bombing 1, 2, and it can go pretty much anywhere at once. So that will be the attack on Spain, Switzerland. The next attack here, and I'm knocking over neutrals with my tripod, oh well. Here, this club, the US added an infantry there. That was nice of them, thank you guys. So they'll have three infantry. I'll move that up there so we can see it as I knock stuff over. All right, so the planes. We have 2 fighters and attack, moving 1, so they'll have 5 left. And I think I had that differently when I set that up, so I don't have anything that has 4. I think I might have had that no, not sure what that 4 was for. Anyway, coming from West Germany is 2 infantry and 1 of the elite mechanized infantry. So that is our attack on the Netherlands, because we're going to leave our paratroopers there for something else next turn. All right, we can go over here to the dice, or the battle board. And I forgot to put a light up, so we still got that little bit of shadow here. All right, we will do Switzerland first, so I will set that out here. And of course, we're going to widen, whoop, went the other way. Widen that up a little bit. All right, so we know that the Swiss are defending at 5. We have 5 cavalry at 2, because they're in a mountain, so they'll go back 1. And the artillery is the same, unfortunately. So the meat of our attack is coming in our Air Force with a medium bomber at 7, strategic bomber at 2, and then 2 fighters at 6. So let's move dice, get our tray set up here. All right, so I don't have to do the strategic bomber first because it's not a first strike. What I should do is those 3 are self-propelled artillery first. They're at 2 and nothing. So our strategic bomber, nothing. All right, starting out good. So I got 5 cavalry at 2. Nothing. Look at those 3s. I got 2 fighters at 6. He gets 2, and then a bomber at 7. 7. All right, so I got 3 of the 4 Swiss mountain infantry. So they will have 4 back at 5. And they got 1, 2. So I was hoping to keep those casualties down to 2. So that means I got to hope for no hit there at the end. All right, so there's my 2. He's out of the battle. He's not dead, but they only attack 1 round. So now the artillery, 3 of those, 3 cavalry, so I can roll all those together now. So that'd be 6 at 2. And there's a 1 and a 2. I should have 2 2s. Wish I had that on the first roll. So they are wiped. Switzerland has 1 guy left. He's gone. Defends at a 5, gets a 7. All right, so I took my expected losses of 2, and that will work out for me. So I'm going to chip out one of those mechs. So I'll have 3, it's not a mech, self-propelled artillery. So in Switzerland will be 3 self-propelled artillery, and the fort goes away, I believe. And 3 cavalry. All right, so that is how that will look. We'll turn that over. Germany goes up 1, right? Let me look at that. Pretty sure it's 1. Yep. All right, slide that in there. So let's move Germany up 1 to 51. And let's go for the next battle. Oh, I got to land these planes. Pretty much these 2 fighters are going to Paris because they had 2 left. Well, 1 had 2 left, 1 had 3 left. So that would be 1, 2, and into Paris. And I think we were going to put the medium bomber in there as well. And the strategic bomber is coming back to Bavaria, as I got a paratrooper there. All right, so that is the end of Switzerland battle. Let's get rid of that card. Bring over the next one. Now the Netherlands, they have 3 infantry at 4. And I don't think there, let me look back here, there's no river, so we don't have to fool with that. So I've got 2 Germans attacking at a 2. The advanced mech attacks at a 4, well, the elite mech. And then a Stuka at 7 and 2 fighters at 6. All right, so let's get the dice tray back in view. So let's start off. We got no artillery, so there's no first strikes. So we got 2 at 2. And nothing. And we got a mech at a 4. Nothing. 2 6s. 1, 2. And the last one is a 7. And that, oh, it did. It ended up there. All right, so the 3 Netherlands troops are gone, and they get a total of 1 hit back. So we'll lose an infantry, and they'll lose the 3. All right, so going back on the map into the Netherlands is a infantry and the elite mechanized, and that is worth 2. So now Germany's going to go up 2 more to 53. And I guess you can see that at that angle. I don't know. And then I have my 3 planes. The 2 fighters, they have a movement of 4 left coming from that air base. So 2 of the fighters, well, I say that, I'm buying fighters. So 1 fighter's going on to Paris, as well as that Stuka going back to Paris. The other fighter is going back to Western Germany. All right, so now our combat is over. Get rid of some pieces here. And I've got these out here to chip out some stuff. So I'll set them in that C zone. All right, so we've got 1 train moving 1 armor from Paris to Western Germany. And that is so that it can be upgraded to an elite at the end of the turn. We have 1 tank, and I will chip that out for this tank here, because it is going to just drive 1, 2 into Bavaria, where it will be upgraded. Well, let's put a tank on there. All right, so that leaves 3 tanks in Paris. I get these markers out of the way. All right, so not sure what that was for. Vichy France is going to make a combat move, but that will be after Germany's over. That's to chip out one of those infantry there, so I'll leave it there for now. The other moves, we've got a mech from Paris is going to drive 2 into Bavaria. All that's staying, the artillery's staying. All right, so up here in Berlin, we've got 3 that are being railroaded. 2 infantry and 1 anti-aircraft gun into Paris. So that is my 4 rail movements. That's exciting for the day. All right, so we got that out of the way. Let's look at what else we're going to move here. All right, so I need an infantry because I got a chip out. I'll take that casualty. So we've got 2 infantry moving out of Warsaw into Western Poland. We're going to leave that one there. We're going to move 1 of the light tanks into Eastern Prussia, which is a movement of 2. The other light tank and the cavalry are moving into Slovakia at a movement of 2. We're going to leave those artillery and the 5 infantry in Warsaw. The only other move is this mechanized here, which can only go 1 space because of the mountains. It's not mechanized, it's motorized. And we will activate Hungary while I'm here. So that will also give Germany another 2 and move them up to 55. All right. So let me look and see if I got all these markers. I've got 2 subs I'm moving. The coastal sub moving out of C-Zone 15 into C-Zone 13. And the other regular sub with the naval base will go 1, 2, 3, and 4 into C-Zone 8. And clear off all those markers. Get rid of those markers. All right, so hopefully I wasn't moving that camera that much. Let me see, I've got this paratrooper and that transport plane. I think we'll leave them there. I think we'll move them to here. No, we'll leave them there. I can do what I want with them from there. All right, so that will be the end of the movement phase for Germany. Let's go over here and do the combat phase for Vichy. And they are going to grab the artillery and 1 infantry. And that's why I have that chip out, because we're going to grab this infantry and get rid of that chip. So artillery and an infantry will load on that transport. All right, so along with the torpedo boat destroyer, the destroyer, and the cruiser, and they will all sail with that naval base, 1, 2, 3, to C-Zone 105. And from there, we will land in Mauritania, I guess. So we'll take that from the Free French. The main reason there is we're going to cut off that rail movement for Lend-Lease into their capital. Now, I don't know what happens here if I take that capital next turn. The French cannot get any units there. Well, I guess they can. They've got some money. They could buy some militia. So we'll see what takes place there. Next turn. All right, so that was it for their combat move. Let me get the markers off. All right, so placing units. We've got, I've already moved that battleship. So we've got 2 subs that we are going to place on this shipyards here in C Zone 34, and I keep knocking those planes over. And the reason why I can do that is the Maritime Air Patrol here for that bomber is a range of 1. So 1 out, 1 back. So this one's safe for now. So we got 2 subs there. We got a sub up north, and then we got our 4 subs here that are failing on the convoy this turn. Well, I guess this one got 5. That ain't bad. So what else are we placing? We've got 2 fighters and a strategic bomber that are going up here into Western Germany. So that's a total of 2, 3. I can place 2 more units, which is going to be 2 infantry. And then the militia can place anywhere. So we're going to place one of those militias there in Western Germany. All right. Now, what else do we have? We've got an infantry, an anti-aircraft gun. You know, that's right. I wanted to place that anti-aircraft gun. So I placed 2 infantry in Western Germany. So I'm going to change that out and move 1 here to Berlin so that an anti-aircraft gun sits there. All right. So the other infantry I had in my hand is going to go where here in Bavaria. And I've got 2 militia. This is my Spanish Civil War infantry. He has to go in Berlin. So I've got 1 militia going here in Normandy and the other militia going here in Western Germany. And I hope that was in view as I was leaning over. All right, so now I've got to do some influence rolls. And that would be for Southern Iran at a 1, Central Mongolia at a 1, and then Vichy at a 2. So we'll roll from east to west. So let's start with Mongolia. And we'll just take one of these dice. Oh, for crying out loud. That's funny. That's funny. What to do? Is it better to defend with a 4 or throw 2 militia? There's 2 cavalry there, so I think what we'll do is we'll put an infantry in Central Mongolia there. And I gotta dig deep in my box here. All right, so that gives them a defense of a 4 and 2 2s, as opposed to 4 2s, which is kind of lame. All right, so Southern Iran. Let's change out the dice. And it's a 10, so Southern Iran gets nothing. And then, what is that? Oh, Vichy France at a 2. And they get nothing. All right, so 1 out of 3, that's not bad, right? All right, so let's collect some money and then upgrade our units. And the units that we're upgrading, any turn after Germany has declared war on Poland, I can upgrade a tank that has to be anywhere in the German home country. And up here, any turn that Belgium and the Netherlands or Denmark and Norway are German aligned or possessed, you can do a armor and an infantry in Western Germany. So that's kind of why I railed that tank up there. So we've got 2 tanks and an infantry, so that'll be 1 IPP each that'll come off of our income here. And let's take stock here. We've got on the board 55, and then our NOs will be 3, 3, and then 5 for the Molotov-Ribbentrop pack. So there's our $50 or $55 for our income. And then we're going to have $5 for the Molotov-Ribbentrop, and then 6 in NOs for Denmark or Sweden and Romania. So that will be 55, 60, 66, but we're going to be minus 3 to pay for these upgrades. So that will leave us at 63 for next turn. And I think we're out of the upgrades for a while. I do have some paratroopers that I can upgrade, but I don't know if I want to do that just yet. So for next turn, $63. Let's go change these out, and then we will be done. All right, I'll just come around. As it's a pretty big map, so one of the change outs is right here in Bavaria, which I have the marker there, so we'll get rid of that marker in that tank. We'll put an Elite Panzer there, and then the 2 markers here in Western Germany will be an Elite Infantry and an Elite Panzer. So we'll take off the Panzer we railed and one of the infantry that we built. So, well, thank goodness it was the only infantry we built. All right, so that is the conclusion of my turn. For a count, here in Western Germany, there's a militia, 2 paratroopers, a marine, an elite infantry, an elite armor, anti-aircraft gun, strategic bomber, 3 fighters, and a air transport plane. What else would be interesting? Paris, 3 fighters, 1 Stuka, 1 medium bomber, 1 anti-aircraft, 2 infantry, 1 artillery, and then 3 medium armor. And not else, a whole lot else has changed. So now it's up to Russia, and Panzer King will be up with that shortly.